We haven't seen the holdouts play, Aaron Rodgers. And so, it would be silly. I can't sit here and preach about my college football rankings every week and say I hate preseason polls and then stick to mine just because, coming into week one, for instance, I had the Cardinals at 17, and then I watch them play and everything that they want to do looks good. It seems like they're on the right path. I'd be silly to move them up to 15 just because I started season 17. So this is my market correction week. I essentially admit where I was wrong, where I was right, and try to, within the first couple of weeks, I want to settle these teams into where they're gonna be at the rest of the year, and then they don't slow down. The position will slow down. So without further ado, if you're watching this live on my Facebook page, Youth Ball Network Facebook page, my Twitter page, which is at jhunt006 or wherever. Thanks everybody for the retweets and the kind words every week. Some not kind words. It is what it is. If you're watching this on YouTube or broadcast, whatever, I appreciate it. If you're listening, essentially what I do, you can go find the pictures. It's so easy in today's media. You guys know how to do it. I'm going to go down through and I'm going to kind of go through the teams that jumped out, some of the question marks, some of the ones that made big jumps and big drops from week 1 to 2, and try and point out, I recognize some of the more controversial teams on here. And here we go. So, as you can see, I still have the Chiefs number 1. I think it's hard to say. I think the Browns are a good team. I think the Chiefs are a good team. I think the Chiefs, just like last year, found a way to win. But just the bottom line is they have Mahomes, and they can win any game. And honestly, I won't say until they lose. It's going to take them a few games for me to be talked out of it. So right now, Chiefs are still at 1. I moved the Rams up to 2. Last week they were at 4. They looked. I thought they was going to be a really good looking team coming into the year. They looked better than even I thought they would. Stafford looked great. Made you really regret all those years that he wasted in Detroit. I shouldn't say wasted, all those years in Detroit that didn't go his way. He didn't waste them. He tried, and they had some good seasons. But anyway, Rams looked really good. Moved them up to 2. I feel really good about that. I think that after what we saw from the Buccaneers and Cowboys, on last Thursday, I feel good that the Rams right now are in a better spot than the Buccaneers, even though they're both really good teams. They're splitting hairs. It doesn't even really matter. Here's one. I know the Bills look bad. They took a loss to the Steelers. I still think they are a good team. I really don't know what happened. This is one of these that I'm going to hold out another week and see how they play. I just can't believe that everybody in the world can't be wrong about the Bills. So I just didn't punish them that much. I'm not going to drop them down to like 16 because they lost. A win and loss isn't everything in the NFL. We know that. It's not college football. And then make them work their way back up. So I could be wrong. I could be right. Once again, we'll see week 3. 49ers, they're at 5. They just looked really good, but I thought they were a good team coming into it. Shout out to Shoot Basketball Pod for chiming in. Yes, there you go. Cardinals are at 8. This is one of my big market corrections right here. I had Cardinals at 17 coming in, mainly because their conference is really tough. I won't say I had questions about Kyler Murray, but I thought he might slow down. I won't say take a step back or anything, but I thought he might slow down. Now, they looked great. They looked great on really both sides of the ball. He looks healthy. I think his injury was affecting him late in the year more than it was. So this is just a team that I'm like, I would be silly to act like this team couldn't make the playoffs. So the Cardinals jumped all the way up to 8, which you can already see 3 NFC West teams in the top 8. I think that's ridiculous myself, but I could not find a way to keep them out of it when they, destroyed a really good team last week. So Cardinals, number 8. As of now, you're in the contenders category, which means I'm pretty sure you're going to the playoffs. I don't know how the NFC West is going to shake out. It's awesome. Titans dropped a little to 9. Cowboys to 10. I didn't punish them. I thought they played great. They played good enough to win. They lost on a last-second field goal because Tom Brady had a minute left. I'm absolutely not going to crush them for. I think they played really good, and I think they answered every question I had for them, and I think Dak's a superstar. So I'm not going to knee-jerk and drop the Cowboys out of here because they lost to my number 3 team. Just not going to do it on opening night, and Dak coming off of 11 months off of football or something like that. So Cowboys stayed at 10. I understand anybody's complaints, but that's where they're at. Dolphins at 11, pretty cool. Thought they looked good enough. I think they're a solid team. Next, we have Packers at 12. one of my bigger drops of the week. Packers dropped from I had them at 6 last week, and they dropped down to 12. They looked absolutely horrible. I honestly they looked like they probably had the worst performance of the week, but I also understand that it just can't. Yeah, I know it's crazy. All NFC West teams in the top 8's ridiculous, but it'll sort itself out. I didn't even like it. I'll be honest with you, Coach. So yeah, Packers look terrible. I wish I could have dropped them farther, but I didn't want to just be silly. They're going to be a good team. I don't the 12th if they're the 12th best team in the league. I think that's a disappointment this year. So I got them at 12. Chargers look nice. Steelers, I kept them at 14. I don't think they look great. I think the problems that we all think they're going to have on offense are there. Defense looked way better than I thought, and they beat a really good team. I probably should have gave him more credit for this, but I just don't know if they can repeat it. If they do, it'll be corrected. But right now, I think 14 that puts them in the playoffs. So I don't think that's ridiculous for this. Think the Steelers would be a wild card team. Washington football team didn't look good. Fitzpatrick's hurt. Defense is good enough. I mean, they're a middle of the pack team as I see them right now. If they can keep everybody healthy, Heineke plays all right. They're fighting for a playoff spot. Essentially, this category is the no worries, mate. Like you're not out of it by any means in week 2 with a loss, but all eyes are on you. Raiders jumped up to 16, pretty good jump. I had them at 24. I really thought they were going to be a bad team this year. Take a step back. I thought I really coming into it, this could be Gruden's bad year. He's going to be out. Questions about Carr. They looked great. I thought the Ravens looked pretty bad, which I'll talk about here in a second. But I thought the Raiders, I was just wrong. Waller I was down, or I won't say down on Waller, but I wasn't as enamored by him as everybody has told me to be all summer. Totally wrong. He's out. He looked like Megatron out there. Really difference maker at tight end. And I think they're a legit team. I mean, they fought back against a good defense, and I never really thought they would lose that game. So Raiders jump up to 16. At 17, I got the Ravens. Really disappointed in them. That's a team I'm watching really close. I thought Lamar made just a ton of mental errors. Obviously, the fumbles, things just didn't look good. I know they're injured, but that's football. If this is just going to be a year to where the Ravens are injured all year and don't make the playoffs, it is what it is. It happens in football. They're just riddled with injuries. But they also there was just several things that happened Monday night that just was a step back for a really good football team. We'll see. But at 17. I put them in the uneasy category. They're in the 3rd category. They're in uneasy. I don't think they want to lose this week. They could also come out and look really good, and everybody will forget about that. Saints looked really good. I didn't go crazy with them. They had one of the best games of the week. I think it was a combination of Saints are better, more prepared than we thought, and I think the Packers are way less prepared and worse than we thought. So I kind of had to find a middle ground there. Saints at 18. Still, not out of it, not giving up on them. It's 1 weekend. So 18 is a fine number, a couple wins, in a row, and you're in the playoffs. So they're fine. I thought the Eagles looked great. Eagles jumped up to 19. Hurts definitely proved me wrong. I thought he was just going to be average and was really concerned. I thought this might be one of the worst offenses in the league. I know we're 1 game in, but they looked good. The offense is built on him. The players seem to respond to him. Everybody seems to love him. So I'm all in on the Eagles. They take a big jump up from 30 to 19 this week. That's one of them. I think I might just be wrong about the Eagles. We'll see. Patriots look pretty good. Obviously, I shouldn't even say could have won the game. They should have won the game against Miami. You fumble on, I believe, the 6-yard line. Jones looked really good. He ran the team. This is going to be a tough team. I've got them at 20 basically just because they did take a loss. If they win that, I think I probably have them around where the Steelers are at 14. But at some point, I got to count a loss just because I don't think with a rookie quarterback, they're a team that can just overcome every loss and have a bad one and forget about it, and they're still going to win 12. I think just like the Ravens, I think losing close games or games you really could have or should have won will hurt you. So I think a loss hurts the Patriots, because of all the reasons. Panthers at 21 looked good. I don't know what to make of it. Not a big deal. The Jets, playing the Jets or whatever. But they won. That's cool. But I can't talk myself into putting them higher than 21 just because I don't think they're going to be fighting for a playoff throughout the year. Bengals, another example, looked way better than I thought they were going to be. Burrow looked better than I thought they were going to be. Fought back, beat Minnesota in a kind of a kooky overtime. We thought we were looking at another tie game, just like the Panthers. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, this is a team that's on the rise. I mean, if I'm a Bengals fan, I'm like, all right, in a couple years we're going to be really good. I don't foresee them fighting for a playoff spot this year, but that being said, they are leading their division. Like, that's just full disclosure. Them and the Steelers are leading the AFC North, not the Browns. So what it is, what it is. Vikings, they took a bad loss. I got them at 23. That's a little low for a team this good, but they did lose to the Bengals, who I don't think are great. So I punished the Vikings for losing to what I think's a below average team. Colts look terrible. They're at 24. They're in the uneasy category. They could easily drop down into my next category, which is the you never know, which is basically like you're on a wing and a prayer at this time. Colts look bad. I didn't see a lot of promise, but I also know that they have a good core team. I'm not going to throw away everything they did last year and everything, we've thought about them, for the past few months in the offseason because of a bad loss. But I also just can't ignore the fact that they did it like some of those other teams. I just ignored the losses. Then you never know category. This is the last 8. Essentially, they're fighting for draft picks. Broncos, great win. They're at 25. They're right in that. They're right where in that category of they'll be fighting for like just out of the playoff spot. I guess this year not 8-8, 8-9, 7-10 team, something like that. But yeah, good for them. A good win in a tough division that they're in. So it is. Bears, they're playing for the future. So they got beat up pretty good. Fields got in, excited everybody. Dalton really doesn't. It's so obvious that Dalton's not the quarterback, and my rankings are very quarterback heavy. So if you got Andy Dalton as a quarterback, it's going to be hard for me to jump you up to the left side of my bracket, the top 16 with Andy Dalton as a quarterback or a rookie even. I mean, no matter how good Fields looks, these guys are still young and they're going to make mistakes whenever he does get in. Falcons looked terrible. The Falcons are one of these teams. They're in the worst position. They have veterans and they're bad. That's a terrible mix. I don't know. They're a team that they can turn it around, but usually they had a lot of offensive line problems Sunday. That's hard to fix overnight. That's a huge warning sign that tends to come throughout the season, and it tends to get your quarterback banged up and so forth. Matt Ryan is not an out of the pocket guy. He's not one of these guys that you can move that pocket around and avoid him. He's a sitting target back there. That's how he plays the game. It's fine, but you have to protect him. They're not. Don't have defense didn't look great. There's a lot of troubles in Atlanta. I would say build up your draft picks and try to make something for the future. But you never know. You never know. They fooled us before. Texans looked better than expected. Love it for Tyrod Taylor. Great win. He's just a great guy. Deserves a chance. I hope he honestly gets to play the whole season and really have a true full season at starting quarterback. I don't think their roster is that great. Their divisions, they're gonna steal some wins in their division and probably they might be a little better than we think, the Texans. But I couldn't talk myself into moving them very far up just because I know the issues that they have and the trouble they have and even the roster moves that they've made. So they're still at 28, but they had a great week. They had an encouraging week. Giants at 29. I thought Giants looked absolutely awful. Shocked. That everything they've done, this is supposed to be the year, the make it or break it year, and it just looked like they were breaking it. The offensive line just looked rattled. Daniel Jones he running out of the pocket, breaking down too much, giving up on the play too much. His pre-snap's not great. He's a talented guy. Whatever it is that's going on there, nothing looked right Sunday. They just really here's the thing. You can get really beat and look okay, and you can get really beat and look like you didn't have a plan and you just couldn't figure it out. And that's what the Giants, to me, I just don't know what the plan was Sunday. So we'll see. They got a lot to worry about there. If you got questions about what you thought was going to be your young franchise quarterback, that is a really bad spot to be for a team. You'd rather have a veteran like Matt Ryan that you can usher out the door and he can move on and you can replace him than to have what you thought was the next the next phase of your franchise, and then maybe you've missed on it, and now you're in trouble. So Giants, a lot of worry there in New York. Jets look bad, but we all knew they'd look bad. That's all there is to it. They're playing for 2 to 3 years from now being really good. So they're just going to go out and play and let Wilson throw. He looked fine. Not a great team, not a ton of pressure. I think he's going to get to just sling it this year and have fun and learn how to play the game. And yeah, we got a Bars from Bunts and Bruises podcast says that Giants are ranked too high. Maybe it is what it's tough there in New York, both New York teams, but they're going different directions. That's the difference. The Jets are fine at 30, sling the ball and lose. They don't care. Giants are not fine to be 29. That's just, it's on me. 31 Jaguars. This team, there's rumors about Urban Meyer says he's going to quit already. That's Urban Meyer. I wouldn't get too carried away with that. He's a little bit like Belichick as far as what he says doesn't necessarily mean anything. They let Lawrence go. He looked all right. I mean, if I'm the Jaguars, I'm like, yeah, we look terrible, but our quarterback looks like he knows it is going to be an NFL quarterback. Let's put it this way. If I'm the Giants watching their team with their quarterback and I'm the Jaguars, I'm much happier as a Jaguars fan is what I'm getting at here. So that's the important thing. You can't do anything without the quarterback in the NFL. So they got to be encouraged by what Lawrence did. 300 yards. I think it's 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, if I remember correct. They're fine. They're going to be a bad team. And he's hopefully he's going to learn how to play football this year without getting injured. That's always the thing with these rookies. At 32, the Lions, they looked as bad as I thought they did. And I know they almost won the game. I understand that. I still think they're in the worst position in the league. The combination of roster, Golf didn't look great. I know it's his first game with Detroit. And so essentially I would get a lot that would say the Lions almost beat my number 5 team. Why aren't they higher? Because I don't do my rankings based on, who might win against each other next week. I do my rankings based on the position you put yourself in. The goal in the NFL is to get to the playoffs. The goal in the playoffs is to get to the Super Bowl. That's what I care about. I don't care about a team like looking like a great upstart team and the future looks bright and 6 wins. That's great for your franchise. This is about winning the Super Bowl. I think the Lions are in the just about the worst position to win. I think the Lions if the Lions played at their ceiling all year, I still think they're probably a 14-loss team. That's how bad I feel about them. I hope they turn around. I root for Goff, and I hope he does really good there. But that being said, I have him in the worst position in the NFL as far as if you combine quarterback, future, schedule, everything together, they're in really bad shape. And I think the Jaguars beat them. Like if you do want to talk head to head, I think the Jaguars could beat them. So that's it. That's my NFL power rankings. I think everybody listen. I know they're crazy and wacky, but once again, the complaint department is open. I am free. Any questions you have about any team, I am free to discuss it, and I am free to explain my position on them. But just remember, this is about winning the Super Bowl and getting to the playoffs, not about the future or can you compete. I don't care if you can compete every game. I need to know how many games you can win and can you get into the playoffs and what can you do in the playoffs. That's the NFL power rankings. It's not, NFL. How good is your franchise ranking? So that's it. I'm Jeff from Jeff Needs Sports, powered by Off the Ball Network, of course. Go check out offtheballnetwork.com. Everything the guys are doing, the football content's off the charts right now. Everybody, we have shows dropping nightly. We have, See You Sunday every Saturday now, previewing the NFL weekend. I've got my college rankings coming out. I've got the NFL rankings coming out every week.